Big day for the podcast. We got Justin Steele here. First of all, very excited to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Really enjoyed watching you pitch, especially last year. I wonder what you go into an off-season thinking, like when you sit down and have those exit meetings, because last year was, I don't know if you want to call it a breakout year, what you want to call it, but when those exit meetings happen, then where does your mind go as you walk out of those meetings?
This past year, I had the back thing at the end of August or whatever, so in September was just, trying to get back to 100% healthy going into the offseason so I don't have to worry about the back, which we did. I was throwing bullpens, full capacity and everything. We didn't really have time to build me back up and get me back out there, but, when I walk out of the door in my exit meetings, I just all right, it's time to relax, take 3 weeks off, don't think about baseball, really just soak into the football season. That's what I try to do, and then I usually start picking the baseball back up, working out and different things about 3 weeks into the off season.
So outside of that, I'm sure dad life took at least a little bit of time from your off season, right? How's that been?
It's been amazing though. Oh my, he's just growing like a weed. He's so much fun to be around. He's yelling at me at all times. It's a lot of fun.
So what, 6 months?
Yeah,
a couple days ago.
He's 6 months old. He's crawling around, picking himself up. It's crazy to watch, and he's trying to talk. It's a lot of fun.
Cool. It's a lot less sleep. As a new dad myself, I got a 1-year-old, and it's first of all, it doesn't end, right?
No,
there is no off switch on the day.
Nope.
It just continues. Is that your favorite part? What's your favorite part of it?
Favorite part is just, I guess when Libby would go to work, goes and does a workout, it's just me and him, and we're just laying in the floor, on his play mat, and I'm just playing around with him, rolling the ball to him. He gets excited, trying to talk to him, just doing those kind of things. And just to your point, waking up in the middle of the night, you hate it in the moment. You're so tired, and you're in there and you're picking up a baby just screaming right in your face, yelling at you. But, in hindsight, those are the best moments. Getting calmed down, he loves you, gives you a hug, and you put him back down. It's the best.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you'd been putting the ball in his left hand, trying to get him used to that.
He's using both hands, and I'm not really biased. If he wants to be a shortstop or play golf, there's a bunch of different routes he can take.
There you go.
He can do what he wants.
So that's obviously been one adjustment for you going into the off season. We talked to Keegan a little bit when he was here about how he added a new pitch, right? And then we talked to Tommy Hotovy in the offseason about that. What was a turning point for you this season where you think, I know a lot of people have mentioned Jon Lester said something, I don't know how true this story is, but Lester said something, pound of fastball.
Yeah.
Was that a turning point for you, or is there something else? Was it, adding a pitch? What was it?
Yeah, so Lester was talking to Rossi about, my outings and stuff, and he was saying if he could just, hone in on that fastball low and in to the righty, it opens up a lot more doors. The miss, if I'm going there and I miss arm side, that miss still becomes in the strike zone. It's still a competitive pitch. Whereas if I'm aiming high and I miss high, it's a non-competitive pitch. It's kind of a waste pitch. You're just adding to your pitch count. So I think that really kind of took a turn for me. I started limiting, the pitch count. The misses were more competitive, and then I was able to throw my other pitches off of that. The slider worked really well off of it. I think in the second half of the season, I was just really honed in on working them 2 pitches off one another, and then if a bat dictated a different situation, I would mix in my other pitches.
And I know you didn't end the season the way you wanted to didn't pitch at the end of the season, but when you reflect on what 2022 was for you, how do you describe that as far as your career goes?
Yeah, it was a great year. It was a lot of fun to do it and be a part of it. Really glad, get on that hot streak that I did get on in the second half. I really feel like I started putting things together, putting good start after good start together. It was really good to see that. And, like you said, the injury wasn't ideal, but, going into this season, it's definitely a goal of mine, 30, 35 starts, 180, 200 innings, just try to be that workhorse in the rotation.
I was going to ask you about that, 180, 200 innings. That just doesn't, first of all, it doesn't happen. I think there were 7 or 8 guys that pitched 200 innings last season in all of baseball. What kind of goals do you have for yourself going into this season? Is it an innings thing like you just mentioned? Is it, being a key part of the rotation? What specifically do you want to focus on this year?
Yeah, pretty much what I just said. Like, my main goal is the 180, 200 innings, 30, 35 starts, which means, like, you're not missing a start. You're taking the ball every fifth, sixth day, whatever the case may be. And that's kind of my goal for the season. And I feel like if those things happen, then everything else is going to be all right. The peripherals, the numbers, everything's going to be all right. If I can get 180, 200 innings, 30, 35 starts, I'll be in a really good spot.
What kind of things have you focused on this offseason, or continue to be focusing on as you get closer to spring training, as far as like building your body up to be able to withstand, or go through the whole season healthy, 180, 200 innings? That's obviously where you want to get. What have you kind of focused on to kind of build your body up that way?
Yeah, I mean, just attacking the weight room like I always do. Just working hard. If anything, I'd say I might be doing a little bit less, just so like I've definitely in past off seasons, like I'll just like kill myself. I'm working out with like football players. They're getting ready for the NFL draft and stuff, and I'm in there trying to keep up with them guys. But yeah, I would say if anything, I'm just being smarter and working with more focus on what I'm doing, and realizing that the things that I'm doing and implicating it to the mound and using it in that way. I think that's the big change I've made this off season and going into this year. Like, any workout I'm doing, I'm making sure it like relates directly to like the mound, what I'm doing on the mound, what I'm trying to do.
We were talking to Adbert about you, and the one word he said, he just looked at Ryan, he said, Steele's going to be nasty. Nasty. When you look at the group of young pitchers that this organization has coming up, and the way the pitching has really started to kind of explode throughout the organization, how excited are you about what you see?
I'm very excited. I always talk about the farm and what's coming up. I mean, the COVID year, 2020, I was at the alternate site. We had Brendan Davis there at the time, and I think he was like 20, 21 years old. And the at-bats he was giving me at that time, being that young, and like, I mean, there's guys that were French big leaguers that were there at the alt site, and he's like, I mean, he's playing with us, like, it was really impressive. And just to know that there's like so many more that we have, Pete Crow Armstrong, there's a ton of pitchers I could list off, Jensen, we got DJ Hers here. Like, I mean, it's deep, and they're really good. It's not just like talk or anything. Like, I've been seeing it with my own eyes, and they're really good. A lot more, like a lot better than I was at that age. You know what I mean? Like, they're really advanced. And
beyond the farm system depth, obviously the major league team has a lot of depth starting pitching wise. I mean, Cubs brought back Drew Smiley, signed Jamison Tyone. Yeah. What excites you about working with all those guys and the amount of arms that you have on this pitching staff that could theoretically be a part of that rotation?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just getting to know the guys. I love, like, hanging out, chopping it up in the locker room with the guys. Me and J-Mo's already been chatting up about football and stuff. That's my main thing, is like getting to know the person. I really liked the personality side of people, getting to know people on the personal level. I'm like really excited that we got Smiley back too. He's one of my good friends. We golf together and stuff, so it was really good to get him back as well.
Is that a lefty thing, like you, Drew? I know Wade last year. Is there like a little bond you guys have as lefties?
I've always heard like lefties just like they just generate to one another. There's something about the way the brain works and stuff. But I mean, it's true. Ron Vallone, he's a pitching coach for us. RV, he told me that. He was like, lefties, he was like, they always got each other.
There you go.
Do you think people are underestimating this team and this staff? Because when you look at what was done during the offseason so far, a lot of emphasis on defense, a lot of emphasis on pitching. I mean, the defense is everywhere. You got Gold Gloves. Everywhere you look, you're going to have
champions.
You're going to.
We added champions.
That's what I'm saying. You're going to have Gold Glovers around you, champions around you. Do you think this team can be competitive, and do you think they will be overlooked going into the season?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know what really other people were saying or anything, but definitely shouldn't be overlooked. I mean, you add Dansby Swanson, Cody Bellinger, add J-Mo to the rotation, bringing Smiley back, all the additions we're having. We're just getting better and better. And I mean, the second half of the season last year was pretty dang good for us, and then you just add pieces on top of that. I mean, it's only going to go forward with it, you know what I mean? And I think it's really important that we're adding people that's been there, won championships, and like know exactly what it's taken. They've been a part of winning cultures. I think that's really important.
And then as a guy who you get your strikeouts, but you also induce a lot of weak contact. Like, that's kind of the game. When you add those guys, Dansby Swanson, Cody Bellinger up the middle, I mean, you have Tucker Barnhart and Yan Gomes behind the plate now. Like, what does that do for you as a pitcher, knowing if they put the ball in play,
it just gives you confidence. It just gives you confidence. Like, if I miss the pitch a little bit and they hit a hard ball, like knowing in the back of your head that you have a good defense behind you that's going to make the play, more times than not, like that's a really good feeling. Just gives you confidence on the mound.
Do you feel like you have that confidence moving into this season because last year was so successful that you have sort of a baseline to build on?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's anything in life. You go do it and you do it well. It just builds confidence moving forward, doing that thing, whatever you're doing. Yeah, especially the way I ended the year, just knowing that I'm capable of going on runs like that. You know, for me, like I want to do that for an entire season now. Like just know it. I went out and did. I saw that I could do it. I want to keep doing it. You know, and prolong it.
Did you watch this offseason as a fan, sort of just like the numbers that were thrown out for players? And there were some unbelievably good players on the market, right? Like they were all there at one time. And to know that there were 4 shortstops, were you sitting there as a Cub and also as a baseball fan sitting there saying, man, I wonder who we're going to get?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm a sports fan just like everybody else. So, like, I love that stuff. Like, free agency football, NBA, like, I'm refreshing Twitter, trying to see what's going on. Yeah, I become a fan in the offseason because I want to see what's going on, where the additions are going to be going. Even for other teams, it's exciting to see what, you know, like the Herrera stuff, like where he was going to land. Like, it's fun to keep up with, you know.
And what are your, like, immediate reactions, I guess, or what do you do as soon as you see, you know, Jed brought in Cody Bellinger, Jed brought in Dansby Swanson? Like what is your kind of reaction when that stuff happens?
I just get excited. Like I said, you're adding champions to the roster. You know, I just want to hurry up and like get around them, start building that chemistry, get the team bonding kind of stuff going. That's what I look forward to most.
It seems like this team has that sort of cohesiveness, right? Of guys that want to do exactly what Dansby said in his press conference: win. It's all about win. It's not what happens in the game. It's how you win. So when you look at that group of guys, the first thing I thought of when they signed Dansby is you've got Nico, who had a season that could have been Gold Glove material.
Yeah.
His breakout.
Yeah, like, unbelievable year.
As a teammate, what is it like to have a guy like that who's willing to say, you can get Dansby Swanson, I'll move to second base?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's showing you win.
Yeah, that's what it takes to win. You got to have people on your team that's like bought into the plan, that's bought into the like what we're trying to do. They're like realizing it's bigger than just a single player. Like this is a team effort, like more than just the starting 9. Like it goes deep. Like guys we're calling up, like we need you to be ready, you know what I mean? Like you got to be ready for winning baseball because that's kind of what we're anticipating. So like if somebody goes down, like whoever comes up, like you know, they got to be ready for, you know, intense games, winning games, and stuff like that. So it's really important to see from the guys up top and spreading that message down through the org.
This roster looks a lot different than, you know, when you were still coming up in the system, but even 2 years ago when you made your debut.
Yeah.
The roster looks completely different. How would you describe this group of players that are now on the Chicago Cubs heading into 2023?
Man, I think like Dansby, Nico, the guy Jon, just guys that we have on the team. I just think consistency. That's the kind of thing that comes to my mind when I, you know, list them. Think of the guys on our team that we have now, and you know I think consistency is what you need over a span of 162 games. I think that's what wins championships, is being consistent. And you obviously it's important to get hot at the right times as well. We all watch playoff baseball; it's nuts. But yeah, when I think of those guys, I just think of consistency.
Have you?
Go
sorry,
ahead. No,
have
go ahead.
you? The other thing I'm interested in, as far as the pitching side goes, the pitch clock and obviously the pickoff and the stuff that comes with it. Have you even really started considering like how fast I gotta go when I'm pitching or any of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I haven't put much thought into it. I don't think it'll be a big adjustment for me or anything. I can see where like runners get on. It's a tight situation, and you know I'm thinking about like what pitch I should throw, who's coming up, who's after that, you know, how many outs there are, just different things are running through your head. And I think it could possibly affect me in that situation, like where I'm like actually thinking like what I need to do, taking a breath. But same thing for the hitters. Like they can only call timeout one time. So like if it's a situation you get him to call timeout early, you can start like messing with him at that point, like because he can't step out. You can just like come set and just stand there. And then, you know, get his timing, his rhythm all off. So it's going to be interesting to see, like, how everything works out. Like, there's definitely going to be some kinks in the beginning stages of it and whatnot. So it's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out. But I think it will, like, help the game.
It's nice to have 2 veteran catchers back there that can lead you through that process a little bit.
Absolutely.
Even though they haven't been through it either, but still.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always good to have a veteran presence in the locker room, especially behind the plate.
Well, I joked with Tucker earlier that, well, him and Jan, they both caught Wade Miley, so at least they know how it is. So maybe you can ask them like how it was catching Wade Miley, and they can give you that little.
I mean, I love Wade. Me and him like got really close during last season. He always said he was like you're exactly like me when I was 20, 25, 26 years old. He's like, you're exactly like me. He's like, you're just a little better. He's hilarious. I love Wade so much. I'm glad to see he signed somewhere. I look forward to seeing him.
I'm sure you'll see him at some point. Milwaukee. You'll probably run across him a couple times.
Great human being. I love that guy.
When we started the podcast, we started talking a little bit about your love for, or before the podcast, your love for football.
Yeah.
Right? And you said that's how you spend a lot of your off season. The Bears have the number 1 pick for the first time since 1947.
Yeah.
Okay? We think they have their quarterback.
Yep.
Now, there's a scenario where they trade the quarterback to try and reset the clock again. But if they keep Justin Fields and move forward with him, as a football fan, who have you seen out there that would be a good person to grab early on, whether it's sliding down to 5, sliding down to 10, wherever it may be? Who do you like there for the Bears?
If they hold on to the pick, they're rolling with Justin Fields, I think they take Will Anderson. I think he's the best defensive player in the country. I think he makes an immediate impact. Immediately, as soon as he gets to the NFL, he put him on the defense, he's making an impact. If they do end up trading, I don't know that I would, but if they do end up trading that first pick, then you got to make a decision on who you want to take. Then you got to worry about making another right decision. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to choose between C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young. Is it Levis from Kentucky?
Levis, yeah.
Levis.
So then you got to make another decision. You got to hit it right there. And you already know what Justin Fields is. He's pretty good. So it's a sticky situation. I don't know. I can't say confidently what I would do, but I can tell you that Will Anderson, top notch. He's the best defensive player in the country. And then C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, flip a coin. They're both, they spin the ball so well. They're a lot of fun to watch.
I don't know who it was. Speaking of football, obviously you're an Alabama fan.
Yeah.
Everyone should know that by now. During the national championship game, or it might have been after, Saban was on the call. He was on the
I was watching it.
And someone I forgot who it was, but had said Georgia has kind of taken over college football. Is Saban is Bama going to take back over next year? What's happening?
It's what I say is Bama didn't go anywhere. It's not like they're terrible now. The way I kind of lay it out, if Alabama was faced up against the teams that were in the playoffs, would they have been favored against? They'd probably been favored against 2 of them. I would say Michigan and TCU, and then Georgia would probably have been a favorite over them. But my point is so if you can sit there and confidently say that, so they're one of the top teams in the country still. And for me, it was really good to see them win that bowl game that they went to against K-State, or what it was K-State, right? I'm not.
K-State. It was K-State.
Yeah, so it was really good to see them win that game because I've seen them miss playoffs, miss the national championship game, and they go and lose the bowl game they got because they don't want to be there. So it was really good to see them win that game.
You heard it here first. Justin Steele says Bama's back in 2023,
and take Will Anderson.